Hello and welcome to today's IG Live. Ask the Experts. Today we're going to be joined by Dr. Sue Varma. Dr. Sue is the author of this book. I know it's backwards, I apologize. It's called Practical Optimism: The Art, Science, and Practice of Exceptional Well-Being. Dr. Sue Varma is a renowned psychiatrist, cognitive behavioral therapist, and clinical assistant professor at NYU. With over 20 years in practice and as the founding medical director of NYU's 9/11 mental health program, she's a leading voice in trauma, resilience, and well-being. And I had the joy of reading her book, Practical Optimism, this week. I'm a practical optimist, for sure. There's definitely a lot I need to learn. And so I loved reading her book. And really, her book is so full of tools and skills that we can all learn to live our life with more optimism. I mean, I don't know if I need more optimism, but the practical side of it and being more, just really increasing our well-being and our happiness and our joy and productivity, all of the things to live a full life. So I'm excited to have her join us for 30 minutes. And please ask your questions while we have time with Dr. Sue. I love seeing everybody joining. And I just really hope that you take advantage of these 30 minutes to ask Dr. Sue your questions. There you are. Hi,
Hi.
Dr. Sue.
Hi. So great to see you again.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's my
Can you please, I
pleasure.
wanted to show your book. I've showed it, but it shows backwards on my, there you go. Well, perfect. I loved your book, Dr. Sue, and thank you for being with us to answer
Thank
all of
you.
our community questions. This is
My pleasure.
an opportunity that people have to relate right with you, and I hope that people ask their questions. So we already have questions sent in from our
Great.
community, and I'll be watching the chat. So here we go. Are you
I'm
ready?
ready.
Okay, wonderful. So first of all, I wondered if we could start off. Oh, my screen just, there we go. Can you speak to us about our general mindsets? We talked about this on the podcast
Yes.
around leaning more towards optimism or pessimism and how this shapes the way we show up in relationships and the impact we have on our partner's behavior, on people around us, um, and how generously we're able to see the people closest to us.
Yes. So, one of the things that happens a lot in pessimism, and this is based on the work of Dr. Martin Seligman, is this idea of the three P's of pessimism. And I've added a fourth one. So, pessimists tend to personalize things. They take things that happened out in the world that may have nothing to do with them and somehow project onto it their own fault or internalize it, or there's shame or blame. So that's one thing that affects us in our relationships, which is
Mhm.
a general mindset and a general outlook on life and in the world is somehow I am to blame or I'm involved or this is about me. So a rejection is because I'm not good enough. So personalizing something that has happened between you and a partner, between you and a friend, and taking it and taking it to heart in a very deep way that then interferes with your ability to deal with it logically, rationally, to think about it with an open mind,
Mhm.
right? So taking things personally. Then negative things that happen to say that they're pervasive, right? So, like if you mess up in a relationship, you're like, there I am, there I go again. I can never do things right. I can't hold on to a partner. What's wrong with me? Or thinking that something that somebody did negatively to you, instead of looking at it as a one off situation related, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they were running late. Maybe that's why they were short with me. It has nothing to do with me. You suddenly make it about you and you suddenly say that it's about all aspects of either my
Mhm.
life or their life. So that person is just an a-hole because they were rude with me that one time, right? So thinking it's permanent. And that's the other part, is that something bad that happened is always going to happen. It is never in my luck, or all people are against me. So this very black and white thinking that bad things happen are my fault. They're a result of things that are going on in the world always, and that they're never going to get better. And I've added a fourth one, a fourth P, which is then as a result of that, you become passive. So you then say that there's nothing I can do. This person
Mhm.
is horrible. They're always going to be like that. Instead of trying to work it out with them, instead of trying to express yourself, instead of trying to understand what is it that they are going through. So I feel like one of the biggest hallmarks of optimists is that they have an open mind and they're more likely to give someone else the benefit of the
Hmm.
doubt. And I would say that's the one secret that optimists have over everyone else, is that they don't take things personally, right? And you may have said something negative to them 24 hours later, they don't even remember. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't remember or shouldn't hold on, because yes, it's information that you then say, this person hurt me, I don't want to, they're toxic, they're not good news, I'm going to keep my distance. 100% be aware, right? But that's the thing of, like, one a phrase that I love, it says trust but verify,
Mm.
right? So do your due diligence on the person. When we were speaking for your podcast, you were like, I have 10 best friends, and I'm like, I love that about you. But you're like, but I'm also careful and cautious about who I give my energy to and who I let in my life. So there's a very delicate balance, because people may hear this and be like, I'm confused. Which one is it? Should I take chances or not take chances?
Mm.
And I'm saying do both. Both are possible. And that's what practical optimism is about. It's about being agile, nimble, flexible, and looking at every situation and deciding what it needs. And I think most people don't have that kind of energy or bandwidth. They're just like, nope, I'm either going to be completely shut off because people don't deserve my energy, or I'm just going to be completely open until I get hurt. And I'm like, no, it's a dance, right? Like, there's a skill, there's an art and a science involved.
Yeah. I think even with my partner and I, it's like that's something that we practice, and it's like keep it's the highest outcome, and giving each other the grace of like, okay, you're coming from a good place until proven otherwise.
Yes, yes, totally,
Right?
totally.
And I
It's the
think that is a
opposite.
mindset thing. That's
Yes,
something I have to train my brain to do,
yes,
because you could easily go into like the fight or flight, or the me against you. No,
yes,
but it's like you have to
yes.
train yourself to think differently.
Yes, it's like innocent until proven guilty, right? Like, I'm going to
Right.
give you the benefit of the doubt. And I think so many of us have been hurt in life, and
Hmm.
have been disappointed, and have felt rejected, or that somebody else has, people are out to get us, or whatever it is. And I talk a lot about loneliness and adult friendships, and I think it's really tricky because most people feel like somebody wants something from you, or there's a competition, or there's jealousy, or just even the concept, if you think about it, the evil eye. Every culture has some version of it,
Mm.
right? That, like, like, we have to, like, I remember I was like in the Mediterranean region and visited a lot of countries, but also my family is South Asian. I've seen this kind of like across the world whenever I'm traveling, is I need to protect myself from evil spirits. And it's part of our culture and superstition, and that people don't want good things for us. Like, don't shine too much, because you stick your head out, it gets cut off, right?
Mm.
Don't brag, like, you don't want people to be jealous. And so it's very interesting to me, how do we, in this day and age where a lot of people on Instagram are building their brand and they want to be known, and putting out our highlight reel, how do we manage that with having real deep authentic connection?
Yes. So, what is the difference between toxic positivity and practical optimism?
Yeah, that's a great question. So toxic positivity, first of all, is this like rah rah, everything is going to be fine. And my problem with that is, how can you tell me, right, without knowing me, that everything is going to be fine, without knowing the depths and the seriousness of the losses that I've had, or the gravity of my situation, right, and vice versa? I, that, to me, that's dismissive. That is not optimism. That is toxic positivity. Telling someone, just look on the bright side. Everything's going to work itself out, or stay positive. How do
Yes.
you know? Like, I would never, if I ever said that to a patient who came into my office who went through anything, was going through depression, and let's say I looked at their life, and I see a lot of people who, on the surface, everything looks fine. If you were to see them on the street, you'd be like, what are they talking about? They have a great life. Look at that. Look at the way that hair. Look at that handbag. Look at the clothing. They look so put together. And you would have no idea that behind closed doors, their life is unraveling, their marriage is unraveling, they're having trouble, anxiety, eating disorder, depression. You have no idea. But in general, telling someone to look on the bright side, and if the conversation ends right there, that's not going to get you anywhere. But if a well-intentioned, kind, loving person who's taking the time to invest, to know your story, right, is like, and I often want to still leave my patients with positivity. So I'll hear everything that they have to say, and I'm like, I'm here in the trenches with you,
Hmm.
right? And we're going to help co-create and shape your reality in the way that you want it to. I'm going to help you, give you an idea of the best case scenario, but I'm also aware of the worst case scenario. And that is what practical optimism is about. It's never denying harshness and hardship and adversity, right? But it's maintaining positivity with a dose, with a dose of pragmatism to go along with it.
Right. I think of it, you say this in the book too, is you're you're optimistic, but you're also realistic.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Where you come prepared. Like, I always say, it's people just say like, there's plan A and plan B. I'm like, no, there's plan A through Z.
Yes.
I've got a lot of, be prepared for things to not work out, but also be prepared for them to work
Oh, I
out. Like when,
like that.
when they
Yeah.
say like, I think about the worst case scenario, yes, that is absolutely a possibility, but so is the best case scenario. And there's actually like a science-backed exercise where, if I'm doing a keynote speech, I'll often ask the audience to say, I ask them to close their eyes. And Robin, if you're up for it, I'd love to do it with you
Yeah.
also. Like,
Let's do it.
so yeah, okay. So close your eyes if you feel comfortable, but you can leave them open at any point. And if anybody's watching, I would say close your eyes. And I want you to imagine a problem that you are dealing with right now, something that is really weighing on you. And I want you to figure out, where do you feel it in your body? Where is this problem causing tension for you? Is it in your jaw? Are you clenching your jaw a lot? Do you feel like you're having tightness and tension in your neck? Do you feel like your shoulders are holding a lot of tension? Is it in your gut? I just want you to release it. So take a deep breath, inhaling to the count of 5, and slowly exhaling to the count of 5. And you're envisioning this problem, also aware of the tension, and at the same time willing to let it go. And now I want you to envision a solution to this problem. And I want you to get really granular about what this solution looks like and how you see yourself accomplishing it. So you have a problem, it's weighing on you, you've just let it go in terms of not holding it on your body, and you're also imagining the best case scenario. And this is a solution that you have helped create. And now I want you to imagine a path leading you from this problem to your solution. What does that pathway look like? Is it straight? Does it wind? Does it twist or turn? What's alongside this path? Is there a lake? Are there mountains? Are there trees? And now I want you to imagine yourself getting closer and closer and closer to your best case scenario solution. And I want you to feel all the positive feelings that come with finding a solution, the sense of mastery, the joy, the pride, the excitement, and the satisfaction of knowing that you are getting very close to solving your problem.
Wow.
How do you feel?
Great. That was
And then,
awesome. I'm working on something like we all are.
totally.
That
So
was
just
beautiful.
thank you. So come back to that, that feeling of mastery, that feeling of joy, that feeling of positive satisfaction, that I am capable of solving this problem. And just envisioning, just by imagining that your problem has been solved, it puts you in the driver's seat of, I'm capable, I am confident, I can solve this. And being in a positive mood is really important to then putting you on a trajectory. And I say to people, exercise begets purpose, which is one of the 8 pillars, but also purpose begets more exercise. And the two of them, if you're feeling like lost or like, oh, I've got so much to do, I've got a stack of bills I have to pay, I've got a stack of envelopes and mail that I need to
Yeah,
go through, and I'm
me too.
I'm dreading it. I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's not fun. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon, but I'm going to be going to the gym after our conversation, and then I know when I come back, the dopamine, the endorphins, the serotonin, all of that is going to put me in a better mood to then tackle the work that I have to do. So putting yourself in a positive mood, whether it's through a quick walk, whether it's through a brief positive optimism, best case scenario exercise, there's a lot of evidence behind this. Imagining the best case scenario for any number of reasons, the positivity, the mastery, the putting you in the driver's seat. It's going to make you more likely to solve the problems. You know, I always say to people, if there's an email that you need to send out that might be open the next door or chapter of your life, a job opportunity, whatever it might be, if you're in a better mood, you're more likely to do it.
Yes. Oh, I really like that. How can I support a partner? Thank you very much for that exercise, Dr. Sue.
Sure.
I really, that's just awesome. How can I support a partner or loved one who struggles to see the bright side without dismissing their feelings?
Yes.
So if you're with somebody, on a regular basis, that you're just feeling like they are definitely they're the pessimist side here,
Yeah.
and you're the optimist. You're like, oh, how do I deal?
It's
How do
really,
I help them?
yeah,
Right?
I mean, the joke is like there's an optimist and a pessimist, and then they're both married to each other. That
Yeah.
always happens, right? Because
Yeah.
look, the pessimist, we need both,
Yeah.
Robin. We need both. The world
Yes.
needs both optimists and pessimists. And I say that the optimists build the planes, and the pessimists build the parachutes. And
Yeah.
so, believe it or not, a lot of people will tell me like, I love the fact that my partner is pessimistic because it grounds me in reality. They make me think about things. They make me do the research and they make me do my due diligence. But at the same time, this person who's doing all this research is then not acting. They get paralyzed, they get mired in the negativity. I know so many people who are like, I had a little bit of money aside and I wanted to make an investment, but then I thought of all the 50 things that can go wrong. And so I decided not to. I mean, it sounds like, why leave your house then, right? And I get it, like we have to take calculated risks. The economy is not good. So 100% do your due diligence, right? But in life, if you feel that you're getting paralyzed by the negativity and you're not acting because you're in information gathering stage too long, we said, help this person. Like, in my book, I talk about decision making and rules of threes. Like, help this person who you feel is paralyzed, if they're struggling with making a decision. We get it very granular, make it very concrete. Ask them, what are your choices? And I want to narrow it down to three choices. I want to narrow it down to 3 days. And I say 3 days, but it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months,
Mm.
depending on the magnitude of the decision. And I'm going to ask three people. So you've asked me and other two people that you want to ask. So just think about, how does negativity affect this person? And sometimes it could be, the pessimism really could just be untreated depression or untreated anxiety. In which case, I would say, if you're blessed enough, to have health insurance, to turn the back of your card, or to ask your primary care doctor for a referral, just a few sessions of therapy, honestly, even one could go such a long way. A lot of times
Mm.
people are like, I feel heard, or I only have the time or the money for 3 sessions or 6 sessions. All of that time in therapy with a good therapist, trained therapist, will never be wasted because it makes you feel empowered. It gives you a sense of agency, self-efficacy, all the things that I talk about in the book. And it gives you actionable skills. Like, that's my hope, right? So if you're dealing with a pessimist, first of all, get them practical optimism because it will change the way they see the
Yeah.
world. Because a lot of us think it's our personality. Like, I was born this way, there's nothing I can do. Hell's no, I don't believe in that at all.
Yeah.
I tend to skew often in this sort of ruminating, what if, catastrophizing. And I talk about my own therapy journey and how it changed my life and how I wanted to then create a skills-based program that everyone could benefit from. Like, all the things that I learned, not only from being in my time in therapy, but also working with survivors of 9/11, people who have gone through the harshest of circumstances in life, trauma, people with past history of trauma. And why are they still smiling? Why are they still standing, right? Not just standing, but smiling and standing,
Right.
making the best, thriving in the worst of circumstances.
Yeah.
So pessimism is maybe the way you're naturally hardwired, but it doesn't have to be the way you live your life. So I think it's really important that you take the time to say mindset is a choice. And it's not just a mindset. Practical optimism is a skill set, a tool set, and an action set that every day you practice. Some days it's a 5-minute practice, some days it's longer.
Yeah. It is a practice. Growth doesn't happen overnight, and it just has to be repetition,
Yes,
habit
yes,
forming. Yeah.
yes.
Healthy
And I think,
habits.
yes, healthy habits. And I think it's so important that people realize that anyone that's successful, like, Robin, when we were talking and you were sharing your journey with the podcast, I feel like that's so important for people to know the confidence. What was it day one and where is it now, and how it doesn't happen overnight? Because I see we're only seeing the finished product on and the highlight reel in social media. And what we need to see is more the behind the scenes, the struggle, the 20 years that it took to become an overnight sensation.
Oh, right. What are some signs I'm stuck in a negativity bias? How do I begin to shift out of it?
Mhm. So, do you feel that there are things in your life that you want to be accomplishing and you don't know where to? Do you feel that you struggle most days? Do people in your life tell you, I'm starting to worry about you, right? Like any suggestion I've given you, you've poo-pooed, it's not good enough, that's not going to work out. Like what we call help rejecting behavior. Do you find that a lot of people in your life are feeling exasperated by you, right? Either
Mm.
because of the negativity or because they have offered solutions or offered help and you have said nothing is going to work. So this kind of all or nothing thinking. And do you feel that like you've lost interest in your life? Do you feel that you've lost pleasure? And, being a psychiatrist, in my mind, when someone is telling me nothing is fun anymore, nothing is interesting to me, I can't help but think of depression. But I want people to know that that doesn't mean that you need to be on medication. I think so many times people are like, why do you want to know if I'm depressed? Why are you giving me that paperwork, Dr. Varma? That's a depression rating scale. What are you going to do with that information? And I'm like, listen, whether or not you choose to be on medication is wholly your choice, right? And I have a lot of patients that I do just talk therapy with. I don't prescribe them medication. I don't feel that it's needed. I'm a big believer in the holistic thinking in terms of nutrition, diet, sleep, exercise, therapy. And in the chapter on practicing healthy habits, I talk about the four M's of mental health. And so if you find that you're in a negativity bias, the world doesn't seem joyful to you, of course, talk to your doctor, behavioral health provider, consider therapy, but also say, what am I doing for myself, right? Do I have a
Right.
clear plan?
What
What
is
am
my
I
day to day? Like, what ways am I helping myself or hindering?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And how am I getting in my own way? Because I think a lot of times people tend to blame everything is everybody else's fault. It's my partner, it's my kids that are stressing me out, it's my mother-in-law. And sure, she might be stressing you out and like your partner and all of that. But what is my role in it? Am I enabling the people in my life by not, like, I think one thing I see women often do is, that we talk about this weaponized incompetence, where the partner is like, I have no idea, like, how to manage the household if you're gone for a weekend, and so the woman then never takes the time to do that yoga meditation or retreat or girls trip because the partner has no clue. I don't know where the diapers are. I don't know what the kids eat, so it's like you have to have real conversations with your partners. And I think so many of us are afraid to, we're afraid to get angry because we're going to break down and start crying. And I talk about that in the chapter of processing emotions, of the burden and the invisible load and mental load that women carry and how they're so afraid to ask. Let's say a woman's like, my mom lives next door to me and yet she's never been helpful, in the childcare aspect in my life. And how do I get people on board? So, it's all about skills. Like I talk about problems, but very quickly I give people solutions.
Yes, it is finding solutions. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone who feels stuck and doesn't know where to begin?
Mhm. I would say keep it small, and if there's nothing else that you get out of this book, like I would say the four M's of mental health are these daily practices that you have to be really intentional about. One is movement, and that can be in any form. It could be literally walking 15 minutes a day. It could be stretching, but it could be strength training. And we definitely know that women in their 30s and 40s are losing muscle mass, and you lose muscle mass that affects your bone density, it affects your cognitive health, it puts you more at risk for declining health. So there's so many benefits of exercise. And one thing that I found really fascinating is that it could be small. It could be 5 to 7,000 steps a day. And I think for prevention of anxiety and depression for most cases, or even as an adjunct as part of a treatment plan. So I feel like movement is a huge thing. Mastery, it's your job to find 10 to 15 minutes a day to try to get better at something. It could be a language, it could be learning a sport, it could be pickleball, it could be, a new recipe, but investing in what we call the flow state is huge. If you are in the moment doing something that's creative and fun and that is slightly challenging, it takes you out of the rumination. Can't be so challenging that you're like, I give up, or so easy that it's boring. It has to be this flow state is very careful curation of activities that peak your norepinephrine and epinephrine in the brain, and it has to be just challenging enough where you're growing. So mastery is one of them. Movement is one. Meaningful engagement. What we're doing right now is like talking about things that we're passionate about and ideas and philosophy, talking deep. We've shared a lot with each other, like when we were taping the podcast about our lives. And so having meaningful conversation, and it could be with strangers, or even having activities with strangers. So like going on that hike with a group of people that maybe you don't know, or cycling or biking or whatever, and you can check off multiple M's right there. The movement, the mastery, you're getting better at something in a class with other people, and there's meaningful engagement because you're connecting over something that you love. And then mindfulness, doing something once a day. It could be deep breathing, it could be washing your dishes, and just paying attention to what it feels like. And it sounds so weird. I hate doing dishes. Why do I need to feel the water in my hands? You can listen to a podcast if you want, but the idea is to whatever it is that you're doing, anything in life, to do it wholeheartedly.
Oh, I just those four M's are so good. I think about just like if somebody's using the word stuck, the movement
Yeah.
piece, like I'm glad you said it first, because if you're moving, it's like you physically and you're mentally, you're in the tree, whatever you're doing, if you're exercising on your treadmill, you are not stuck.
Yes.
You are physically
Yes.
not stuck.
Yes.
You're moving.
Yes.
So I think that in itself, getting your physical body engaged
Yes.
and embodied, and you're not stuck,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
what is the next? It's just like it's just the physical part of it is so good.
Yes.
And I love the fact of challenging your mind to get out of that too. Like
Yep.
the mastery, like you
Yes.
said, and the mind, all of it. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And just what you said when you're saying like, look, I'm moving, I'm not stuck, that is really that's a form of self-compassion because we want to beat ourselves up when we are stuck that why am I not moving forward? Because this is something we call meta worry, where you're worrying, but then you're worrying about your worrying, right? Like I'm
Right.
stuck, okay, that's a fact, but then I'm going to start berating myself because I'm stuck. And you're saying, I'm not, look, I'm in motion, right? So it's a
Yeah.
training your brain to reframe the situation to be like, the minute you start moving, that moment you are no longer stuck, right? And I'm
Yeah.
really big on purpose begetting more purpose, exercise begetting more exercise. So whatever it is that you're doing, interrupt the cycle. And, that could be, okay, I'm going to take a 5 minute break. I'm going to text a friend. I'm big on sending memes to friends. That is my love language, right? Like
Yeah.
I have, like on Instagram, I don't know, there's like 50 people that I connect with on different levels. This is a friend from high school. I know she's really into fitness. This is a friend from med school. She's really into the science. This is a podcast friend that I met. This is my sister-in-law. This is my mother-in-law. This is my husband. This is my child. Like we all connect through different interests, whether it be fitness, whether it be spirituality, whether it be reading books, whether it's humor, whether it's dog humor. And that's my way of saying, I love you. I'm thinking of you. You're on my mind. Something, interested me today, and I wanted to share this with you. So think about how do you share a piece of yourself with other people? And are you? Because that's a big sort of current in this book, an undercurrent of purpose in service of others. Do not neglect yourself. Do not abandon yourself. Put yourself first in the sense that like mental health and self care, but also be invested in the people that you love in your community and give back. Like you'll never, that African proverb I love, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Like you will never really truly be happy or successful or have meaningful success unless you have really deep, authentic relationships where you are comfortable being vulnerable and sharing things about yourself that you're not proud of and that you can hear and hold space for another person. I think what I'm seeing is that a lot of times success is happening, ultra success, people who are like at the top of their game, but they're really not opening up to people. They've developed this kind of armor and this shield of I've got everything perfect and look at me and I'm a mentor and a role model to other people, but I'm fine. No one is fine. It's an illusion.
And that's not
No,
success.
no, no. So
Right.
exactly. How do you define success? That's an important question.
Yeah. Connection, your deep connection.
Yes.
Something just that came to mind is something that I am doing in my practice now in my life. I've hired a personal trainer. And I've said to him, like he's in his 20s, right? I'm in my late 40s. Oh, I'm even saying that. And I'm like, I want to be the strongest, most flexible person I've ever been. And the flexibility piece is so big. And you talk about how important flexibility is in our lives.
Yes.
And the way that and I believe that I'm becoming more flexible in my mind
That's so
and my
fascinating.
beliefs because
Yes.
I'm practicing flexibility in the gym. And I'm really like, I want to be able to do the splits, and we are doing it. Like he is teaching me
Good for
and
you.
pushing me to become more flexible.
I
And I'm
love
doing
that.
it in my all
Yes.
areas of my life too.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Like to
So
me, that really is like number one, like the value of what you're doing. You're investing in yourself and getting better. So you're checking off, when you're talking, hanging out with the personal trainer and talking, like, there's a connection there, right? So there's the meaningful engagement because personal trainers sometimes double as your therapist, right? Like hairdressers, right? Who do
yeah,
you
yeah, we're
spend that
talking
time?
about life, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So there's meaningful engagement, there's mastery, there's movement, like you're checking multiple boxes. But flexibility really is a hallmark of resilience, of happiness, of optimism. is this ability to kind of adapt to whatever the situation is presenting in front of you. So I think that that flexibility of, okay, today it's raining, just, a metaphor, right? So I had planned this, let's say, cute summer dress, but no, that's not happening. So think about how quickly, like, do you begrudge the weather when it starts raining? No, you say, I have to dress differently. I had one outfit planned. I got to completely do a
Right.
180 shift, different shoes, different hat, take an umbrella. Now I have a jacket. Everything has changed head to toe. And I'm using a very light example to say the way your body and mind goes into shift when a situation appears. Are you going to begrudge reality, the world, right, for not delivering the weather as it was supposed to? No, you remain flexible to a situation. So think about that, and how does that, and I love the example of the gym, but how is your inflexibility, how is your rigidity, lack of willingness to accept people as they are, circumstances as it is, and reality as it is? And how is that deterring you from going ahead? Because really, when I think about it, being stuck, and I talk about all the ways to get unstuck in one of the chapters, but think about, what does stuckness mean? How did you get there, and how can you get out of
Yeah.
it?
Well, your book is just so full of wisdom and ways that we can move forward. So thank you very much, Dr. Sue
Thank
Varma, for being
you.
with us.
Thank you.
And
Hope
thank you for
everyone can.
joining us live. And I hope everybody reads your book. It's full of just so much goodness. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.